Welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Eugene Chan. We are now at the Asia World Expo with Amanda Bond, who is the head of Equestrian Affairs at the Hong Kong Jockey Club. Amanda joined the Hong Kong Jockey Club in 2014, following 5 years as CEO of British Dressage, during which Great Britain achieved outstanding Olympic and Paralympic success. She has more than 30 years experience in international equestrian sport, including work on several Olympic and Paralympic Games and major FEI championships. Amanda is chair of the FEI Para Equestrian Technical Committee and a board member of the FEI, which is the Federation of International Equestrian Sport, and she oversees all equestrian affairs at the Jockey Club. Horse racing has long been part of Hong Kong's identity, but could our city now become Asia's center for equestrian sport? Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you very much, Eugene.
We are now at the Asia Expo, where the Longines International Show was here the last weekend. How important is this event in the international calendar for the equestrian sport?
Well, this is a crucial event because this is what we call a 5-star, and that's the highest level of events. So it attracts many of the top competitors from around the world to come and participate here in our great city of Hong Kong.
Right. How many actually visitors do come to Hong Kong? I'm sure the viewers want to say, like for rugby, for football, we have a lot of visitors. Do we get visitors from all over the world?
We do. Obviously this show is in its second edition, so we're looking to attract more interest, but we're already seeing, even in the second year, a lot more tourists coming in and the fans coming in, particularly from mainland, but also from around Asia. One of the new things we've added to this show this year is an Asian Youth Challenge, where we've actually invited riders from different Asian nations, for example, Thailand, Cambodia, Chinese Taipei, many different nations, giving a chance for young athletes to participate in this wonderful environment that we see. But that also has brought fans from those countries as well. So I think all of these initiatives help to create Hong Kong as this global hub for equestrian sport.
Right, Amanda, a few weeks ago we had two of your team members, Raina Leung and Samantha Chan here, and a lot of viewers told me that, wow, they didn't know Hong Kong has such a good team and it's a very attractive sport, but not too familiar for most of the people. Before we go any further, I mean, how popular actually is equestrian in general? And where are the most popular countries?
Well, equestrian actually is a very popular sport globally. We have about 44,000 athletes around the world competing in an international level in equestrian sport. But it would be millions of people who participate as amateurs and and just enjoy horse sport. In terms of the countries that are where it's most popular, if you look at Germany, I think it's the #1 sport. It's very, very popular. Germany, France, the United Kingdom, it's very, very popular in those countries. I think in Asia, we're just emerging really as a sport here, and I think there's the potential for it to be much more of a growth sport here in this region.
Right, Amanda, before we go any further, I'm sure the viewers are going to ask me, Eugene, why are you having sort of 2 shows on equestrian? There must be something that I can see. Maybe you can share with the viewers, if Hong Kong becomes a hub in Asia, what would that bring to Hong Kong, and what is the niche that we can do for Hong Kong?
Well, the unique thing about equestrian sport is it's the only Olympic sport that involves another being, the horse. And I think the horse is magical. And that partnership between the human and an animal that come together, and we had a campaign within the FEI called the Two Hearts campaign. Right. And if you think about it, that's what happens. You have those two hearts of the horse and the human coming together in that special partnership. And when you see them in action in the arena, that's what you really see, is that true connection. And I think that's what makes our sport unique. And so when we look at it in terms of what it can bring to Hong Kong, horse racing for many years, 140 years, has been immensely popular in Hong Kong. So there is this love of the horse. And what we want to do is kind of bring this to a younger generation, but people who can also participate. Because actually you can participate in riding and get involved in equestrian sport easier than you can in racing. And equestrian particularly in young people, develops a sense of responsibility, a sense of partnership. Most of our young athletes have to work immensely hard to take care of the horse. Early morning training every day. It's actually quite an intensive sport where you have to work very, very hard. So that develops great qualities in young people.
Since you bring it up, I remember Samantha was saying to us that you had to wake up like 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock even to be with the horse and be with the horse for the whole day.
Yeah.
That's very demanding, isn't it? I mean, is Hong Kong the place for such sport, honestly?
Why not?
Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, our athletes, one of the things we do with our young athletes is we say to them, look, it is going to be tough. But it's like any career. If you're going to be at the top of your game in any career, you have to work hard, for sure. So this is, equestrian's no different. But I think what it is it's quite a physical sport as well. And you have to take time to build that connection with the horse. And that's what I think Sammy is referring to, is the time that it takes to build that relationship with your horse and that commitment that you have to put in.
Right. I think another area that we had a chat before the show is why at Asia World Expo? Why aren't we having it at Kai Tak, which is a lot closer?
Yeah.
Can you tell the viewers why are we here?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Asia World Expo, when we first started to bring a horse show into Hong Kong of this high level, we have to bring the horses in. We've got some horses in Hong Kong, but if we want to have the best competition in the world, we have to fly the horses in from different locations. So coming to Asia World Expo, we're close to the airport. It's easy for many of the visitors to come. AWE provides us with the space. Not only have we got the arena that we see here in the background, but actually back of house, we've got the horses. The horses are staying here. The athletes are staying in the hotel next door. So everything is sort of, has the space to house us here. But yes, for sure, you're right in what you say, in that Kai Tak is a much more central location. It can be difficult to bring the fans from the city out to Asia World Expo. So I think Kai Tak is now it's open and functioning. I think it's an interesting proposition for us to think about and maybe explore for the future.
And also you were telling me earlier, you were sort of flying in like 50 plus horses, all the way from different parts of the world.
Yeah, correct.
And how do you deal with all the, immigration through, as you say, there's sort of a quarantine and a biosecurity and even the vet's care?
Yeah.
Can you tell the viewers how demanding is that?
Yeah, it's complicated bringing a horse show like this to Hong Kong, but not impossible. So it all starts with the fact that, racing is so important here. We have to make sure that we take care of the local population of horses and that we don't do anything by bringing horses in from outside to risk the health of our horses. So we have to have very strict biosecurity. We work closely with the government on that. And we have what's called a bubble. So all the horses that have flown in are basically in this sort of protective bubble where they're not mixing with our local population of racehorses. So they're here with very strict management. We've got our veterinary team here to make sure that there's no crossover between the health status of the horses coming in and the health status in Hong Kong. And actually, even before those horses come in, they've been through very strict testing. So they've been tested for all of the main equine diseases to make sure that they're super healthy before we bring them in, and then also taking them home again, making sure that we don't risk the horses that are here that are going back into Europe. So we have to be very, very careful with that. But it's a tried and tested method that we're very successful with now.
Right. I'm sure a lot of viewers will remember that Hong Kong hosted the Olympics for equestrian in 2008. It seems like 18 years from now. It's a long time.
Makes me feel old. Don't say that.
Recently we had the National Games in Hong Kong where we worked with the GBA. We'll talk about the GBA in the second part of the show. Hong Kong is seen to be having the ability to host major events, given what we've done well in the National Games. So with this event just being through the second time, how do you see Hong Kong, as my titles ask, can we be sort of the hub for the equestrian events? Because Hong Kong has all the hospitality, we've got a great airport, we've got, great service of people. What do you think?
Well, I think with the Hong Kong Jockey Club's expertise obviously we've got generations of expertise in racing. So we're very experienced at caring for horses, bringing horses in and out. And that's the reason why when Beijing 2008, Hong Kong was chosen to be the host for equestrian sport for that very reason. And that gave us great experience. In addition to that, we've used that expertise in Asian games. So for example, in Guangzhou and Hangzhou, we've also supported on those games in Chinese mainland. So now bringing this horse show into Hong Kong, I think and we're doing it in the same way. So in the Olympics, I talked about the bubble. The Olympics was done in that same bubble.
Right.
And so using that expertise. And so I think when we talk about Hong Kong being a leader in Asia, I think definitely it's around Hong Kong's expertise to do that, our thought leadership in doing that. It's not so easy for Hong Kong to have dozens and dozens of top-level equestrian events because of this horse movement
right, that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so I think more so now it's more about us, yes, for sure, bringing one of the top events in the region here, but then also using that expertise and knowledge to help other Asian nations as well, also to host events and things. So I think it's about Hong Kong leading the way, and being that thought leader.
Right, Amanda, time for a short break now. We'll be back with more Straight Talk. We are back on Straight Talk with Amanda Bond, Head of Equestrian Affairs at the Hong Kong Jockey Club, talking about the Longines International Horse Show and what it means for Hong Kong's growing role in the equestrian world. Amanda, thank you for introducing kind of the system of equestrian in Hong Kong. And I'm glad that we had Raina and Samantha recently. So let's move on a bit further down the show. If you want something to succeed in Hong Kong, I'm sure the chief executive and our officials have been thinking, apart from the rugby sevens, apart from our international football events, what's next? That's the reason why I thought, hey, this could be a possibility. So to build an ecosystem, you need horses, you need venues and riders. So with horses, someone told me they can be quite expensive. Is that a myth or is it the truth?
Well, it's a little bit in between. It depends on the type of horses. If you're looking, the horses that we see at this event here, they can be quite expensive. It's the same with race horses. The very top level, those horses can be expensive. But equally, at the entry level of the sport, it's much more affordable and it's much easier to do. So, there's a whole variety of different types of horses that do this.
Right. In terms of venues up in Hong Kong, if you want to participate, not at this event, where can you do it?
Well, actually, in Hong Kong, given Hong Kong is so small, I think actually we're well served by a number of different facilities. The Jockey Club has got 3 public riding schools, and then of course we have the Bees River Equestrian Centre, which is our sort of national equestrian centre that we use for horse shows and different events. So we're very lucky, and there's also a number of private riding clubs as well that serve the needs. But the challenge we have is equestrian is growing all the time. And having events like this grows that fan base. More and more people, children and adults want to learn to ride. That now the waiting lists to actually get a riding lesson are very, very long.
Is it really?
So all the time we're working to try and provide more opportunity for people.
One area I must ask you, and you're the best person to tell me. If you can play football, it's easy because you get the ball to go and play. But with equestrian, you need a horse, you need a venue, you need coaches, you need be able to do international events in Germany. Is what we call the barrier to entry a bit high, do you think?
I think in Hong Kong it certainly can be difficult to find that opportunity because, as I mentioned, space and those opportunities, it's difficult. We've been looking for land to build more riding schools in Hong Kong. But as we know, in Hong Kong, we have to prioritize housing for people. So, it's not so easy just to find large spaces to build riding clubs. But we're very clever with how we do it to try and make as much opportunity, lessons in the early morning, lessons in the evenings throughout the day. So to try and cater for that demand. And I think once people are riding, there's quite a good network of support around. I think in Hong Kong, athletes, once kids decide that they want to do this and take it seriously, there's incredible support, and again, we're lucky that we have the Hong Kong Jockey Club, who fund a support program, provide the world's best coaches. We have great horses that we provide to some of our young athletes, and the opportunity to go overseas and train and compete.
So, will you say equestrian is a game for the privileged or for the rich? Sorry to be very...
No. It's a question that we get asked a lot. It can be. And certainly, there are a lot of wealthy people who are in our sport, but equally there are ordinary people like me. I'm an ordinary person. I come from a very normal family, not a wealthy family. And I even remember, when I was kind of 14, 15 years old and my parents telling me not to have a career with horses because that wasn't for me. But actually working hard and that determination to want to do it, you can break through. And there's a number of Olympic athletes who've come from, ordinary backgrounds, but if you have talent, that talent gets recognized and then you get given opportunities with best horses.
Say for the past 20 years, including the 2008 Olympics, what are the sort of milestones in equestrian history in Hong Kong that you have witnessed?
Well, I was very lucky that in 2008 I was here. I worked for the organizing committee back then. And that really, I think, was that seminal moment for equestrian sport in Hong Kong, because it brought the world here and it got Hong Kong recognized. And I think again, because we did it so well, we delivered it because we had that expertise that we lent upon from racing. The world started to realize that actually Hong Kong was something to be recognized. And I think from then we've gone on, as I mentioned previously, we helped to host the Asian Games, 2 Asian Games with our partners in Chinese mainland. Also here, I think our athletes, through our sort of development program, our Hong Kong Equestrian Performance Program, we've helped support athletes to go on and then compete on the world stage. So you talk about Raina and Sammy that have been on the program. Other athletes as well, Jacqueline Su, for example, going to the Asian Games in 2018 and winning Hong Kong's first ever gold medal, individual gold medal in dressage in equestrian. That was a really special moment. And then going back to the next Asian Games where we won 2 medals. So all the time our program is developing, and the most rewarding thing is when we see the young athletes come through. So people like Sammy Chan, who've come up through a youth development program and then gone on into senior teams and winning, and she's won medals now in a couple of different championships. So I think that really shows that even though in Hong Kong, Hong Kong's tiny, we've got 400 members of the Equestrian Federation. So you imagine if you're looking in a talent pool, when I was in the UK, I came from the UK, we had 1 million people ride horses. Now in Hong Kong, as I mentioned, 400 people are members of the Equestrian Federation. So finding talent is not so easy. But I think what we're doing is we are identifying that talent and we're really supporting and developing.
So looks like we have done well. I mean, a lot of people have said to us, Hong Kong is really a city.
Yep.
Look at all the Olympic gold medalists we have.
Yep.
We've done very well, thanks to the government.
Yep.
So the Jockey Club has been doing a lot. Is the government doing enough for you?
The government does help support us a lot. Our athletes all work through the Hong Kong Sports Institute, and they get a lot of support from that way. And so, I think the challenge for us, if we're going to get to the nuts and bolts of this, the challenge for us always comes down to horsepower. Right. Because I talk about it's a partnership between a human and a horse. We can't do anything without great horses. And I would say that for us is the next big challenge, is how do we secure the horsepower? And sometimes, as you mentioned, it's very expensive. How do we get the horsepower that we need that will take us to Olympic Games? And that, I think, is where we need to call upon, whether it be government or whether it be the community, to try and all come together to say, okay, look, how can we do this? How can we compete with the best in the world?
I mean, I must ask you even a more direct question, because I've been talking to different people about the sport since the program. I think in all sports, family support and also maybe corporate support is very important. But in Hong Kong, where it's not as popular as golf or tennis yet, there may not be as much corporate sponsors. So that means the family or individuals have to come up with sort of resources. For example, you want to be in Germany, you've got to be there, you've got to fly there, you've got to live there, you've got to actually get something done there. So is enough support being given to the athletes? And if more support is given, do you think we will be even more successful, getting more stars, therefore helping Hong Kong in general?
Yeah, absolutely. You've in a way hit the nail on the head. You know, you mentioned about families, and I would say we haven't achieved anything without the support of those families. So, you know, I have to do a shout out to all those families of our athletes that are helping support them. And we are, I mean, again, I don't want to keep going on about the Hong Kong Jockey Club, but you know, we do get immense support, probably more than any nation in the world. We get tremendous support thanks to kind of not just funding, but also that kind of emotional support that we get from the club, that passion from the club. But certainly, I think us starting to attract more corporate sponsorship, and or also individual horse owners. You know, people who get passionate about the sport and maybe want to invest in horsepower because they really want to see Hong Kong do well.
Right, Amanda, I want to move on just a little bit further from Hong Kong to GBA. We talk about integration with the Greater Bay Area. Is that an opportunity for Hong Kong's development? Because we must develop on our niche, and that's the reason why Straight Talk in inviting different people to come out and let Hong Kong people, we must have the hope and we must have the vision. Is equestrian something that we can, I won't say lead, to work closer with the GBA cities and then all of us prosper?
Do you know, this is probably the thing I'm the most excited about. I touched on one of the challenges here being space. But the more we work with GBA as partners, actually what that does is solves one of our problems in that it provides us with more space and more opportunity. And we saw it recently, just at the end of last year, with the National Games in Equestrian, where Equestrian was hosted in Shenzhen, in Guangming. And we partnered together with them to help deliver on that event. And so we see that there's a real opportunity to develop more in the GBA and actually become a lot more connected in GBA. And it provides opportunity for our athletes. You know, many of our Hong Kong athletes now are also participating in shows in GBA and in the Greater Chinese Mainland. And what it means is where I've got that tiny athlete pool in Hong Kong, actually all of a sudden the athlete pool is much larger and it makes them more competitive. So I think it offers huge sort of opportunities for us to do more. And we had the Asian Games in Chonghua in 2010, and that obviously now has been developed into this sort of fantastic race course for the Jockey Club. So there's many initiatives that are happening in GBA region that I think are really exciting for Hong Kong.
Right, Amanda, unfortunately that's all the time we have for today. So, I mean, thank you very much again. And as we enter the Year of the Horse, Hong Kong is turning tradition into opportunity, carrying its racing legacy forward into an exciting new chapter in international equestrian sport. Have a good evening and see you next week.